TruthSeekah and or its affiliates are not responsible for any strange phenomena that may occur during or after listening to this podcast, which may include the following: heightened senses of awareness, psychic abilities, UFO sightings, alien contact, time loss, out-of-body experiences, ringing in the ears, ESP, lucid dreaming, increased synchronicities, astral projection, telepathy, stronger intuition, levitation, miraculous healings, and or remote viewing. Please be advised to listen at your own discretion.
Won't you come and take me away? I just wanna be with you. Won't you come and take me away? To a place to walk on troubled seas, faith to stand when I don't believe. I just wanna be with you. Won't you come and take me away? I just wanna be with you. Won't you come?
You are now locked into the TruthSeekah podcast.
Gargoyles! Psychics! Everything's ungodly! Dark Savage!
Streaming live at TruthSeekah.com.
She's not a Christian!
Give it up, y'all.
Your portal to the paranormal, esoteric, and all things spiritual.
She's tampering in dark Savage stuff!
And now, your host, TruthSeekah.
Yo, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm your host, TruthSeekah. This is the TruthSeekah podcast. Thank you guys for hanging out with us today. Got an awesome show planned for you guys, a great discussion we're going to get into here shortly. Want to say a huge thank you to everybody who supported my new album, everybody who contributed to the process of that being made, all the patron supporters there, everybody who pre-ordered my new album. And this past weekend we celebrated the birth of the new album by having an album release concert and get together party celebration. And so it was beautiful. Had a great time. Want to thank everybody for coming out. It's awesome, man, to know that you have people in your corner fighting with you. Man, I had people travel from all over the country to be here with me this past weekend and be a part of this event. So shouts out to Joshua Davis and his family driving in from North Carolina, which was like 8 hours. Shout out to Chris and Nicole Bars driving in from Orlando. That's over 8 hours. Monica and her family drove in from Dallas. That was like 9 hours, I think. My mom and brother drove in from Louisiana, which was like 2.5 hours. It was just really cool, man, to have an event and see everybody in my tribe and my family locally, and then everybody just traveling, man, and making an event out of it. We had a beautiful time Friday night at the event, and it was beautiful. And then that's following night, Saturday night, we had a big get together at my place and did a big bonfire, which was really huge fire, and just had a really good time. So thank you to everybody who came out and supported that and supported that effort. Thank you guys so much. And I can't really go any further without saying again, thank you to the patrons. I want to name out some of the people who have just come on board to supporting what I'm doing here with the podcast and my music. I couldn't do this without you guys. This show's not possible. It's free to listen to. It's not free to produce. There's a lot of money and a lot of stuff on the back end that go into this. So I want to thank you guys for supporting. I want to reach out to Jeremy Griffith, is a good friend of mine, just came aboard on Patreon. Thank you, brother, for coming on. Ashley Ray, Jan Cobb. Let me get through some of these names here. Jeff Nelson, Frank Valdez, Melissa Serrano, Tim Boggs, Chloe, Home Sauce, Kenneth Booker, Linda Merciado. Thank you guys for coming on board and supporting my work. It means the world. If you want to support what I'm doing here on the podcast and see more episodes and you can come on board and do that by heading on over to patreon.com/TruthSeekah. There you get access to my entire discography of music, which is 10 plus albums. You get access to extra podcasts and exclusive interviews and exclusive content. You also get access to my Thursday night School of the Mystics that we do, which is like the community side of what we're doing here. And we've been going through some online courses together, growing in the spirit of unity, and doing a course right now entitled Basic Prophetic Training for the Prophetic Ministry, and it's been really good. So we basically do the course part of it, and then we break down into groups to do activation and prayer and being able to pick up on the energies and stuff that people are going through, discernment of spirits, and really creating a safe environment to walk in your spiritual giftings, find your spiritual giftings and calling, and just moving activation. So it's been really good. This last Thursday, man, we had a really powerful moment. So if you want to do that, you get access to all that stuff by becoming a patron. And if you want to check out the past School of the Mystic sessions, they're all archived on the website as well. Patreon.com/TruthSeekah. That's where you get access to that stuff. So super excited about that. I'm sorry my voice is a little under the weather for the concert. I practiced Thursday night. I was trying to run through my music, and I was practicing a cover song, and it was, I probably shouldn't have tried to incorporate this song, but it was a really loud song, a lot of screaming at the top of my lungs, practicing to see if I can hit the range. Next morning I woke up, I could barely talk just after practicing, and I had that show that day. So it wasn't that fun because like I was trying to gargle some honey, lemon, and essential oils to try to help my throat, and it helped it a little bit. But when it was coming time to hit notes, I had a song, my singing songs, I couldn't hold a note at all. So that was terrible. Anyway, there's some video of that stuff online as well if you want to check it out. All that video is on my Facebook as well. So I had a really good time this weekend. So thank you guys for supporting that. Without further ado, we're going to get right into this podcast today. I got a good friend of mine, Matt Belair, and I don't want this to really be a debate. He's a good friend of mine. We have a lot in common. I do have some contention with him. For those watching on the video, he says that his beard is better than mine. He says I can't touch him when it comes to the beard game. I told him I just trimmed it. Welcome to the show, brother. What's going on?
Hey, man. How you doing?
Doing well.
Well, first of all, I just want to congratulate you on the album, man. That's a huge deal. It's a lot of work and effort. So congrats on that, man. I'm glad you did it and you got to celebrate this last weekend.
It was beautiful, man. Thank you, man. It's awesome. Just creating. I think you know what I'm saying? You as a creator, I think we talked about this on your show as well. Just bringing something into this realm, especially when you're able, because I think we're going to talk about that a little bit, going into the ethers, going into the astral realm, the dream state or whatever, getting this vision and then pulling it out and making it manifest and breathing life into it. There's no words to describe that feeling, you know? But I know we talked about that, being made in an image and likeness of a creator, and then we create and we birth things and breathe life into it, man. It's so beautiful. So I guess before we go deep down that topic, man, just give everybody just an overview about who you are and what you bring to the table.
Sure, man. And yeah, I think we should touch on that creator idea too, because I think that we're all creators. How can we not be? You know, if you start, I don't know, studying woodworking every single day for 6 months, you'll start building woodworking. You create something. We create all the time. So we'll touch on that for sure. But for me, I guess the easiest way to describe it is I grew up a martial artist and was always interested in what I was capable of, what humans were capable of, human potential. And I explored that, and I explored it through martial arts and extreme sports like snowboarding and skateboarding. And so in my late 20s, I really wanted to dive deep, and I wanted to learn. I want to learn from the best. So if you're the best musician on the planet, I'm going to go learn with that guy. I'm going to go see if I can learn from that person. And so I wanted to be enlightened, and I figured, well, you know, the Tibetan monks are as close as I know of anybody that would be enlightened, have that knowledge. So I went to Nepal and meditated with monks, trekked Mount Everest. I wanted to be a great martial artist, so I studied with Shaolin monks in China, and they could break stone with 2 fingers and do all this extraordinary stuff that you see, like in whether it's like a show or on TV, and you're like, is that real? And it's definitely real, and it's phenomenal. And so, like the title of your show, I would say I'm a truth seeker for sure, and just trying to get to the bottom of it and really know who I am, what I'm capable of, how I can create in this planet, and also how I can serve others. And so my journey's taken me to Egypt. I went to Egypt with Nassim Haramein and the Resonant Science Foundation recently. So I'm an explorer, and I explore the inner worlds and I explore the outer worlds, and I just kind of experience, see what I find. And when I find something valuable, I try to share it through the podcast. I wrote a book called Zen Athlete. It could be Zen life. It doesn't matter. It's all the best personal development, mindset, psychology techniques I've learned over a lifetime of martial arts, meditation, study. When I was 15, anything around consciousness, like astral projection, lucid dreaming, meditation, neuro-linguistic programming, hypnosis. I studied it. Anything that had to do with consciousness and altering my consciousness, altering states, I was very curious about, because I was curious about what consciousness was. And exploring that and exploring God and spirituality in that realm as well. So I've just been a seeker for a long time, and doing it through experiences, through books and courses. I've probably spent like so much money on books and courses, but then also implementing the techniques, experimenting with plant medicines as well. And I think that about sums up a pretty good outline of it. And, I have a podcast as well, and I've had about 150 just incredible guests on, exploring everything from simulation theory to connecting to God, to consciousness, to personal development, to, creating a reality, to, psychics and mediums, just everything, and then try to, what's valuable, when I read a book, like, what is the valuable thing? What can I do to improve my life? And so, when I wrote Zen Athlete, it's for kids, essentially to trick them to learn all this stuff through sport. But if you're an adult who reads it, you can use everything's a technique and a process and it to do, and it will change you. And so when I have the guests on, I'm like, what is the thing that I do, so I can go try it and see if it works. That I think sums it up. And my voice is a little bit low here. I've been catching up with old friends, and we've been kind of hanging out every single night, sharing a lot of stories. So I'm going to speak a little quieter, maybe a little less enthusiastic than normal.
Same here. Same here. A lot of campfire conversations this past weekend. So awesome, man. So what kind of got you into that? I'm always curious about like the childhood stuff. Was it like movies at times and seeing supernatural stuff in movies, or whether it was a book you read, was there something that when you, or even having a supernatural encounter with ghosts or something like that when you was a kid? What kind of what's the earliest memories of wanting to seek after the supernatural, or the the dream state, or what were some of those defining moments early on?
Yeah, it's a good question. I get it quite often. And the answer is I've always been like this, from just martial arts, I would say, was the gateway, watching martial arts movies and watching Bruce Lee. And my dad was a martial artist as well, and he would teach me things. And I'd watch the movies of all the martial artists doing this stuff. And so my dad would have me stretch and do these things. And I was just curious right away. And it just, maybe that was the seed, but I was like, we are capable of so much, and I want to explore that. And so ever since, as long as I can remember, martial arts, I would say, was the gateway, and then it just propelled through sport and, kind of carried on from there. So it's just a natural instinct that I've had to want to grow and evolve. And I found it actually odd that it wasn't common. I thought it was a common thing, and it was not.
Yeah, you would think that it would be common with, I guess, the spiritual discipline behind some of the traditions, and that's what kind of got you into it, like, what I'm saying, like the tenets and stuff, and like that's into, like, I don't know which martial arts you were into, but like Taekwondo, things like that. They have these principles and tenets, and you always see them meditating, like you're talking about the Shaolin and stuff like that. And then you went and spent time with the monks, so it kind of goes hand in hand, and so that just was like a natural progression for you.
Yeah, 100%. The philosophy of martial arts is using it as a catalyst to develop mind, body, and spirit. And that's kind of in the spirit that I wrote my book, is that, any sport can be used as a catalyst to develop your mind, body, and spirit, just like art. just like music. And because in skateboarding, in martial arts, in music, there's no end. You don't master music. You just, one day you're sitting there like, hey, I mastered music. Great. I'm done. He's like, no, that didn't happen. Right. So you use it as a reason to get better. It's like, so you go through all that process. If I want to be a master martial artist, I got to do all that hard work of understanding my body, going into a meditative state, understanding, the inner world. And that's a huge part of it, and I think that it's understanding that inner world is the piece that's missing in everything else. Is if you have some sort of practice that goes in, that connects you to the body, that connects you with the self, that teaches you to quiet the mind, and connect with spirit, whatever that means for you, a spiritual force that you're a part of. And when you go in, you find it in your own way, and it reflects out in your own way, and how you want to communicate it with it is up to you. It's your own style. It's kind of like Bruce Lee was, his example was something that was a huge mentor for me. And just kind of saw the way that he lived life and respected that and was able to use that. And he was all about, make it your own. If you see a technique and it's not for you, it's not for you. You see it and you like it, then you can use it and you can create your own style. And I think that we can use that philosophy to create our own style of spirituality, personal development, growth, connection with spirit, whatever you want.
What are some of the things that you enjoy to do to enter in, whether you want to call it trance state or meditation? You know what I'm saying? I know like in yoga, it kind of comes with it too, with the territory. It's like once especially doing what you're doing, because you're doing all of this output, you're getting drained, you're getting exhausted. And then at the end, there's this peaceful moment. Maybe we're all getting drained and exhausted just in life in general. You know what I'm saying? And then we find this place of solace, this place of savasana, like at the end of yoga, where you're just laying there and you get to go within. And for some reason, for me, like the strongest or easiest times to go within meditation would be through after that output, maybe for you with the martial arts and same stuff like that. So what would be like a natural practice for you to go into trance state, into the states of meditation?
That's a good question. So I've experimented with so many different things, and now I'm at the point, and it's been like this for a while now. It's very easy for me, and I think it's just through practice. And the other note that I'll give on that is I think that it's a process that you can be in that state all the time. And this is what they're teaching in Zen. So I studied Zen Buddhism for a long time. And it really enforces that life is the magic. Like we don't need to go into a different state to come into this state. That, Alan Watts calls it the absurd practice of meditation, learning to be in the present moment. You come out of the present moment, a meditation, walk down to the river, look at the water, look at the birds, look at the trees, and really understand how magical this life is. I feel like being able to alter your state of consciousness is a very powerful thing to do, because you understand that this reality, this way of operating is not the only way. And when you can start to realize that what the practice of meditation does, or altering your state, it allows you to become a barrier of your thoughts. Then you can choose which thoughts you want to hold on to and what you want to create. So so many people get great ideas. Oh, I wish I could do this. Oh, I wish I could do that. That's a thought that's coming from somewhere else. That's also a part of you. And you can pull that thought down, but you're going to have to work your butt off probably to create that. And then that's where that work, that's where that life happens. And we're here in this life, and life is the magic. This is the state that people should want to be in. And that's just presence to this magic. So yes, we can alter our states, which I can share techniques for sure. The easiest one I just say is 3 deep breaths, or just setting your intention. I want to come to a peaceful state. So, extreme sports is such a beautiful example of the necessity of this, because, if you're going to do a trick you've never done before, one of my athletes landed the first front flip Superman on a motorcycle. And he didn't even practice it once. He just did it in his mind over and over and over again. But the risk for him to literally die or severely hurt himself is magnified. But because of that external danger, that necessity to master it, now he can take that everywhere. So a lot of people just don't have that necessity to get to that state, but now he can block his thoughts or understand them. So he's about to go and do the trick, and he's like, oh, maybe I'll break my legs. Can't go. You can't go with that thought. It's got to be, I am going to do this.
Man.
So when we learn to quiet our mind and go into that space, we're like, oh, Matt, you suck. I'm like, okay, hold on. I'm not going to hold on to that. Hey, Matt, like, you should do a podcast today with this person. You're like, oh, that feels great. Yeah, hold on. I'll grab that, pull it back in, do a little bit of research, send out a tweet or whatever I'm going to do, create that. Boom. Now I'm in it, creating with the person. And so my life becomes the flow. That becomes the flow state. Yeah. But you can practice it through simple, also breathing. Box breathing is really good. Just being aware of in, out, paying attention, guided meditations, binaural beats. I use all that stuff. Yeah. And it's all a reminder to be like, this is the thing, the magic is right here in life, man. It's so magical. It's like the best, most amazing thing. And so then you can go into this, like, why am I going in to meditate for 4 hours when I can go look at a river? Like, I can do both now. Skateboarding for me is meditation. Anything that puts you in when you make music, I guarantee it's a meditation. You're focused. You're not thinking about, what you got to eat or what. You're in it and you're just creating. That's it. So your joy can become your meditation as well. Your altered state, if you will, right? Because it's a state that's like, when people say altered states, let's just say maybe it's getting out of that monkey mind. So you wake up and the mind goes and just goes off. That's not a natural state. Let's just say that's unnatural living. That's unnatural mind. That you got to learn how to, quiet that. And there's many different ways to do that. Yeah, man. It's awesome. You talk about like those thoughts that are coming in and picking and choosing which ones to entertain and stuff like that. It's like, that's a really big thing in the scriptures for me, where it talks about like taking captive every thought, like each thought, like it's a daily regimen to hold on to the ones that are good and to entertain those thoughts that are beautiful or positive or for you, and not entertain the ones that, like you said, hey, you're not, what I'm saying, you're unworthy and you're the only one going through this, you'll never amount to anything, and then it'll try to get you to speak it out and stuff like that, and birth it and create it and speak it over your atmosphere. It's so crazy, man, that the Bible, it talks about like having all of this revelation, all of this spiritual power, but it's about believing it first. And it talks about these belief systems and stuff that come, and it talks about all of the spirituality that I talk about, and casting out demons and all these different entities and stuff. In the scriptures, they're called strongholds. They're just simply thought patterns. And like what's in the Christian realm, they'll call them ungodly beliefs that go against your greater good. Like the scripture talks about, like God says, like, I have plans to bless you, plans to prosper you, a hope for you and for a future to do great and mighty things. And so like anything that would come against that in the dream state or in the unconscious mind, we all deal with it, right? I think it gets easier to notice when it comes, and we're like, no, I can't be thinking about that. I just watched a video a while ago of a major YouTuber who talked about like depression and spending a full day thinking about killing himself and thinking about what people would say if he did that. And you just entertain that negative. You got to catch that like early on. I'm not going to entertain this. We have all these thoughts that come through to do all kinds of things. And we talk about like, even for someone being a creator, someone who is very in tune with their imagination, all of these ideas, like you, like myself, I've got all kinds of stuff that I can do, and I can be successful. Like anything that anybody puts their mind to, they can be successful, including us. So you can do a podcast. You could do like a YouTube channel of like healthy eating. You know what I'm saying? There's so many different opportunities and thoughts and ideas that come. But if we were just to jump and grab all of them and let people pull us out of our calling or what we have made our mind up to do, we'll kind of veer off course and get tied up in a bunch of little bitty things, so that we can't really put all of our energy and focus into what our main thing is, or two or three things, right? So that's one thing I've been talking about a lot lately. A lot of creative people having to consistency, right? And not being pulled out. Hey, TruthSeekah, I want you to start a band with me. Like legit, I can imagine that. Well, I can be in a band and practice 2 or 3 times a week and do shows and stuff, because I've done it and I would love to do that, but I can't let that, pull me from
my podcast, my music, and all the other stuff that I'm doing. Do you get those? Do you struggle with that too? I think the majority of, because I got a lot of friends, man, who 1 week they're doing this, the next week they're doing that, the next week they're doing this, and they give everything 100%, but only for a week, you know?
Yeah, man. Well, you touched on a lot of great points there that have been, coming up for me in Zen. They'll talk a lot about like levels of understanding, where understanding these truths, they're not complicated, but there's just infinite depths. And it's so interesting that, you walk down the street. If you said to your friends or to people that you met or you didn't know, the stuff that you say to yourself, 90% of us, you just get your ass kicked all the time. And so where did this conditioning come from to be terrible to ourselves? And so if we can start to entertain the idea, and I am the worst at this. This is probably why I know so many techniques and strategies, because I'm as guilty as anybody of just being a total ass to myself. And so, but if we can become our own best friend, our own supporter, or truly love ourselves, to give our, I think there's a Buddha quote that says, nobody in the world as much as yourself deserves your love and compassion. And so why don't we give that to ourselves? Why don't we allow this growth process? And another way that I kind of phrase it is like, from 0 to 5-year-old, you're not doing anything. You're fully dependent on your mom. 5 to 10, you're barely out the gate. 10 to 20, you're a teenager trying not to get beat up in high school and make a friend and understand what's going on there. 20 to 30, you think you know what you're doing because you're going to college and you're supposed to get a job, and you know things. You don't know anything. 30 to 40, you're probably starting to figure out things a little bit. 40 to 50, where's this switch where we're supposed to know something? We're constantly learning. We're children in the universe. We don't know what is going on. And so if we can give ourselves time and space to grow, to make mistakes, to experience life, and to be kind with ourselves as we go through this process. And so, catching ourselves being terrible to ourselves and then catching it and say, I'm going to be loving and kind to myself. I'm going to be my number one supporter because you're the only one who can be. And, to touch on the person having depression and suicide's a real thing. And it comes from, and, with doing the podcast and getting some negative feedback, only literally 2 comments and 3 comments in 150 videos, but each one was like, oh, ow, ouch. And then I thought about it. I was like, oh, that's ego too, because I'm like, my podcast is good and this is a okay train of thought. But the thing is, it's coming from their reality, but it has nothing to do with you. They're going to go around being them all day, every day. And they just want to kind of fish for a little bit of energy. They're like harpooning other people because they're getting their energy through this negativity. So they're just shooting out the harpoons, right? And like, oh, and you can choose through your own consciousness to be like, oh, cool. Well, this is your mind and I respect your journey and I'll just not let this thing bleed me out, but maybe I'll take a look at what you said, see if there's any truth there, and thank you for it. And so the other thing that I wanted to share that I think was really important was you can do anything. Anybody can do anything. That's the wonderful thing. And when I was training with the Shaolin monks, one of them could break stone with 2 fingers, man, and like a thicker piece over his head. And most of them could all do like the really hard wood. And so I interviewed him. I'm like, how do you do that? Like, what's the trick? Is there a trick to this? And he's like, no trick. And I was like, come on, what's the trick? And there's a translator. He can't even speak English. He's like, no trick. Ask him a 3rd time. And he just starts slamming his fingers down on the desk. And I can't remember exactly how many years, but it's like 5, 6, 7 years of hard Qigong. Outside the trees of the academy, you had to poke trees, and there's dent holes in solid trees from monks and students poking trees for years. And then he said years of soft Qigong, which is meditation, and he directs the energy into his hands. So he's very aware of the energetic body. And so through years of poking a tree and meditating, he's able to do something that we consider unbelievable. So then it clicks, and I'm like, oh, well, with that type of dedication, whatever you're going to build is going to happen. It has to. And that's the thing. And for people, what I feel like the biggest thing when I do talks or sessions, I think that people don't align with a heart-centered journey, something that they're just going that direction. It doesn't matter. This is their life. They got 6 months, they got a year, they got 10 years. They can't find this alignment within their heart of like what they want to build. You know, I could be this and this and this and this and this. But once you find that thing that's like your creation, it doesn't matter. You just go day by day by day. There's no mastery. And I actually have a meditation that hypnotizes you into your heart to ask your heart a series of questions, because your heart knows it's eternal, and your heart is based on your highest good, you know, with eternal wisdom, where the mind, its number one goal of the mind is to keep you alive. And so for you to live, you need to eat. If you want to eat, you need to make money. And so you operate in that way because you're mostly in the conscious mind, which will allow that fear state, which allow the harpooning as well. But in the heart's like, you're eternal. That thing that's harpooning you is also you, and it's totally fine. Don't even worry about it. Connect with yourself and what you want to create. It's all good. And so once you find that thing, that even that direction, it can be like, hey, I know my life will incorporate more music. And when you go towards what you love, it doesn't become a final destination. You have a direction. It's like you're at sea. You just have a direction. Mm-hmm. And so you keep going in that direction forever and just enjoying the process of continued learning forever. And so getting to that point and then going with that Shaolin monk dedication day by day by day by day by day, then you're unstoppable. And there is no other formula. Yeah. And we all go through our own process of uncovering and growing, and however long it takes. It's all a personal thing, but it's no secret. It's so simple, but people don't give themselves that time and space or have a process to get really clear on what direction they want to go. And so if people want to check out that meditation, I highly recommend it because it's free and you can just go through it. But it's the best thing that I've ever seen. The second best thing is a shamanic death ritual. And not because I created it. It came out for a friend and I was like, this is amazing. I haven't experienced anything like that. The second one I'd recommend for people would be a shamanic death ritual, which is essentially just a meditation on your death. Okay, you go into a relaxed state, boom, boom, boom. Now you're dead. Oh crap. Okay, can't come back. You know, and just do a life review. What did I like? What didn't I like? What hold back? What was real? What was not real? If you could come back for just a year, what does that look like? Okay, what about if I give you 2 years? Because who told you you're going to live 2 years, another day, another 80 years? Yeah. You know, people are in this loop thinking they got eternal life. They don't. You have eternal life in one way, but in this human experience, it's, you know, it's one time.
In this expression,
signature each day.
Yeah, man, that's good, dude. Hard, and that's why I say just hashtag consistency, man. Like consistency, whatever you're trying to build. Like my friends who have all these good ideas, they are like every single one of them is a good idea. But it's just about, you have to birth it. You have to get good at it. I mean, when we look back at our podcasting, if you look back at your first 2 episodes or something, man, my early podcast stuff was hard to listen to. The quality was bad. Like there was hissing and fuzz and popping, and it was hard to listen to. People still listen to it for the content, but you learn how to get better. You learn etiquette. You learn how to have a dialogue. You learn all of this stuff, and you just have to keep doing it. Listening. I started listening to podcasts about podcasting, you know, and just studying it and learning everything I could. And now, a few years later, people look up to, man, I love your visuals, your audio, your intro. Everything sounds good. You ask great questions, and they have all of this stuff. But like, it comes with time and experience. It reminds me of the biblical story of David. You know, David who slew the giant Goliath, which was mocking him, making fun of him and his nation, and mocking his God and things like that. And it's like this little shepherd boy killed this huge giant that all their warriors were afraid of, because he was huge. There's no way they could take him out. But he was training, like David was training for years in the field, watching over sheep. So he's killing wolves, he's killing lions, he's killing bears with his sling, right? He's killing all of these animals who were a threat. All of this is symbolic for us, right? Of keeping over our dream, keeping over our thoughts and our minds and things like that. And so when he shows up to kill this giant Goliath, everybody's blown away. But this guy's been practicing like for years and years and years. So when he shows up to kill the giant, there was no fear there. There was a confidence there that he knew that if he'd been practicing with that sling, that he could do it and take him out. And that's just like us. Like when you get good at something, you know you can do it. So though it softens the blow of the Facebook or trolls or the YouTube trolls who say, hey, man, stop what you're doing, man. Go back to your day job. Your podcast sucks. You can barely formulate a sentence or whatever. You're stuttering too much. Like all of these type of things, right? It softens the blow to like know your calling, to know the impact that you have on the culture, upon on people's lives. And if you didn't know that stuff and you didn't know your vision, it could throw you off. Some people, man, they that will send them straight into depression if you read those comments. My daughter, she had a YouTube channel, and some of her videos, dude, were like almost 400,000 views on her channel. And there's all these comments, man, just making fun of her and you're fat, oh, kill yourself, kid, all of this stuff. And I'm trying to have to go in as a dad, like, let me delete this stuff or she can't see this stuff, right? Because if your mind's not fully equipped and developed, man, you believe that stuff will mess you up. I had some dudes the other day, and these are dudes who do hip hop and may make beats and producers, and a lot of people know these dudes. These guys added me in a random Facebook chat on Facebook, like a live chat with a bunch of people, and they were trolling me for using auto-tune on my new album and on my music when I sing. So trolling me for using auto-tune and making fun of me, and they changed my name in the group for some weird disrespectful name, and they were just trolling. And I scrolled up. I guess they didn't know when they added me that I could see their conversation, and so I could see them talking back and forth even before they added me to the group. And they were like, "Hey, let's troll TruthSeekah, man. Let's what I'm saying, he uses auto-tune, he can't rap, blah 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 blah, all of this stuff." So I seen their motives, I seen what they were doing. You want to lash out, you want to get out of character and go back and forth with them and tell them even the truth about their self or whatever the case is. But I just said, hey man, bless you guys. I opened up all of their pages and blocked them. Like I didn't even know half of these people, but they know who I am, right? Because you reach a level of notoriety where people know you and your renown goes before you. I blocked them all, left the group, and said, okay, I'm not gonna fall victim to that. You want to, right? You want to give them a piece of your mind and stuff like that. So that's what it's about, man. It's about consistency. Hard work pays off no matter what you're doing. That's an encouragement.
Yeah, man, I 100% agree. I've been skateboarding more, and skateboarding is like the hardest thing to do. And I realized when I was able to skate, 4, 5, 6 days in a row, I'm like, oh man, well, if I can I haven't been able to do that. I've just been too busy with work and traveling and doing different things. Like, whoa, like if I can do this for a while, like I'm going to get good again. And the secret is skating all day, every day, as much as you can. So there's no science to it. And I just wanted to touch on that. And, the thing with your daughter, like it breaks my heart, man. Like people are so terrible. What is going on?
It's insane.
And, I just want to see, a life of more peace, peace within people, and to understand that anybody saying stuff like that, they don't have, maybe they're getting abused. Maybe they don't have a father and their mother tells them they're worthless. They don't, people are dealing with so much pain on this planet. So if you could even understand that somebody coming from that perspective is an illusion, they'll call it Maya. They're in this fog. Yeah. They're in pain. Somebody who's whole doesn't be a crab in the bucket, Yeah. They're not, it's even with your rap, it's like you suck. Maybe you do suck at rap, but it's like skateboarding is like when someone, and that's why I love skateboarding. When someone sucks at skateboarding and you have the best guy in the skateboard park and he lands the hardest trick on the hardest thing, everyone's like, yeah, they're like, frick yeah, but they know I can do it. When that person lands the easiest trick that like anybody could do, and just like this tiny, terrible ollie, the whole skate park, including the best person in the skate park, grabs their boards and just cheers that person on. And they're like, yes, your first line of a lyric, you rambled it. It'll take you some more ollies. It'll take you some more practice, but you're going to get there. And it's this competition versus collaboration mindset. And a lot of the things that I'll talk about, is like Team Earth. What if we started to cooperate? And if aliens were here, which
they are,
think there are, they would look and say, okay, want to help these guys out? We got some technology. You keep murdering each other, So that's probably not great. Let's start there. Stop murdering each other, please. Stop being such dickheads to each other. There's this little meme that I saw come up on Instagram that I reposted on my Facebook that was so funny. This alien comes down and he's like, the first caption. The second one is just like, I have something that can like create peace and change the world, right? And then the people are reading it, I was like, oh, this could work. And it flips over the page and it goes, stop being such assholes to each other. And it's so true, man. So, crab in the bucket is real. Consistency is king. But before consistency, it's vision. And that's where that internal process, and you find that vision through your joy, through internal reflection. Like I said, the meditation that I have is so great for that process. I made it specifically for that process. There's other things you could do. Shamanic death ritual, just sitting in meditation, breathing, journaling is huge. Write it down. Ask yourself the question. When I go to like festivals and I travel the world and I meet people, especially at festivals, because it breaks their brain. It's like they're out of their normal state. They're out of their day job. Mm-hmm. And all I'm asking is like, hey man, how you doing? I'm dressed up like a wizard with face paint, dancing. I got like some stuff on and people could be from anywhere in the world or any background. I'm like, how you doing? And like, great. I was like, yeah, like is life good? And I just want to get to know them. Like, are you happy is what I'm curious about. Are you happy? If you're not happy, which is like 90% of people, why not? What's the reason why you're not happy? What would make you happy? Start putting more energy into the side that would make you a little bit happier. It's going to be a process that you got a whole life to create, day by day, but people don't put any energy in that bucket. They're just stuck in this loop that they can't seem to break. And you got to break that loop through different things. But when you do, it's like same, but different. If you go to Thailand, it's like enlightenment. Before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. Before enlightenment, hey, TruthSeekah, you suck and you're a loser. Ow, oh God, what am I going to do? Do I kill myself? I don't know if I kill myself. Do I stop rapping? How do I do? Go home, get this job, be afraid of everything. Hey, TruthSeekah, your rap sucks. Okay, that kind of hurt. I do want to say something to you. I'm just going to hold that. I'm going to get my water. I'm going to go back home. I'm going to make more music. And I still might have a screw you attitude in my mind for a sec, but I'm not going to hold on to it. I'm going to let it go. And it's the same, but different, but two different processes of external reality alchemizing it within.
Talking about the monks being able to do these different supernatural feats, and it gets in like, there's some people who focus on going into meditation and trance state and getting good, being able to move objects with their mind, telekinesis, pyrokinesis, things like that. Have you heard of or seen the videos of the guy named John Cheng? I'm sure if you're into this, you've seen it.
I have
John
not.
Cheng. So he's been viral on a lot of other people's sites and stuff. But I think it's a guy. He's in China, and he's like there's a couple different videos of him like making stuff fall down with telekinesis. There's one point where I think he takes a pencil or a chopstick and puts it through a table, and he's doing pyrokinesis. He takes a newspaper and balls them up and sets them on fire with his hand. You haven't seen that video? Wow, for you being like really into this stuff, I figure like, I've seen that video, man. I'll have to send it to you and put it in the description. Yeah, just look up John Cheng. I didn't know if you've seen that yet, but well, okay. So if not John Cheng, have you tried that? I know I've tried it. Like there was a period of time right when I was getting into a lot more spiritual meditation where I was spending hours trying to move objects with my mind and things like that, and the PSI wheel and stuff like that. Did you ever get into that, or have you met anyone who has these supernatural abilities where they can move stuff or set stuff on fire and stuff like that?
I have a perspective on that. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen anyone do it. I definitely think it's possible. 100%. The monks that could break stone, that's like impossible, but they can do it. And they can do other stuff too. Wim Hof, everything that he does, not supposed to be possible, he does it. And that's in the physical reality. Things like astral projection, lucid dreaming, things like that. That's like an internal thing. And I went down that, I did astral projection. I did all those kind of things. But recently I've been studying with the native elder of the Mi'kmaq Nation. His name is David Lombear Senepas. He is the most extraordinary human I've ever met. I'm sure he could probably do all of these things and more. But just like in the Bible, do you see Jesus going around doing all these tricks for flash? Now, when you do that flashy stuff and you're talking about it, and then what are you doing for peace? What are you doing to help? And so if I'm sitting and this is what David told me, because like I spent 2 weeks with him, and there's been supernatural things with him. I'll just say that, and things that I can't explain. And, but what he really did is broke down a lot of that for me, because that's how it started. It was like, okay, lucid dreaming. Okay, astral projection. Okay, going to the fifth dimension. Okay, getting on a spaceship with Pleiadians and having a thing come down. All about it. You know what I mean? Meditating with elves, and like, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
And it probably is. And I've had experience of supernatural before, and I know it's real. And when I was talking to David, this native elder who spent the first 26 years of his life learning from over 600 beings, learning all this knowledge as ancient copper scrolls is just it's a whole nother thing. It's nuts. But he says to me, he's like, Matt, he's like, you have these people, doing chakra courses, things like that, meditating. He's like, what do you think they're doing? He's like, how is that creating peace on your planet? He's like, 3 acts of kindness. He's like, that's his thing. Do actually 3 acts of kindness each day. He's like, if you want to be in the spiritual vibration, he's like, he's a mathematician and an engineer. He can build some gnarly stuff. I've seen, you can look up the Biodome in North Carolina. It's like nuts. And he's just like, those 3, he's like, it's a vibration. You can measure kindness, you can measure compassion, and you can measure happiness. And the body is the technology. So he's like, okay, you take the body, you go into this other state, you come out of the body, you walk down the street, you don't ask the person's name, you don't look them in the eyes, you don't pick up the trash on the street, you don't look at your homeless. What are you doing? And it was such a kick in the nuts for me, because I do the stuff, I do the podcast, I do the things, I read the books. And since I've committed to those 3 acts of kindness, it's like 2 different me's. I know my ripple is way more. Maybe somebody sees me pick up the trash, but every day I'm doing something in the physical reality that matters. And so, sure, light shit on fire. Then what? How are you the guy from X-Men? Great. And it's cool to know that that's possible, but how do we apply it? How does it become practical? And do you become, hey, come to Matt Belair's seminar where he's going to set something on fire. I try to do it. It doesn't work. But listen, if you meditate real hard and you go to the 9th dimension, not the 5th, the 9th specifically, then you could light this on fire. Or I could say, hey guys, nice to see you. Let's all have a meditation. Let's do a group hug. When you guys leave here, like, go say hello to your homeless, go do an act of kindness. That'd be great. Just actually do something. And he explains it on really high levels for multiple dimensions. If there's higher beings looking, he's looking at what they're doing, not what you're thinking, not when you're sitting in states, not you're trying to, this guy's spent 80 years, and aliens looking, right? And they're like, yeah, of course you could do telekinesis. It's possible. And he's sitting there for 50 years and he moves the pencil, and the guy's like, heck yeah, everybody look, I've moved this pencil with my mind. Really cool. You had 50 years of life where you could have said hello to this person. You could have supported that person. You could have, walked that little granny across the street. You could have, did these things. And so what's better? And so I just kind of give that that caveat where, cause I'm still pursuing both, but I don't let it go. It's yin yang. It's you know what I mean? It's both. So what's possible with our mind is unlimited. I think we're going to go into I think our bodies are the technology, and when they turn on, they're turning on. But what David shared, and what I believe too, is through the actual actions of kindness, not thinking about it, not moving a pencil, not lighting shit on fire. What does that guy do for his community? Not saying I don't know him, right? Yeah. But what is he doing? What is he? What philosophy comes around that? And even if he goes, what did Jesus do in the Bible? Did he not clear the temple of all the people selling spiritual books? You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
All the time. He's the books, and he's just like, just do the thing. Like, you see somebody with a busted up leg, help them. And so I'd actually posed this question to somebody at Burning Man once, and they were new to Burning Man or whatever. I was like, she's like, oh, she found out I had a spiritual podcast and all that stuff. She goes, oh, I'm not spiritual. I can, I'm not spiritual at all. I was like, well, if somebody was on the side of the road, bleeding, and really hurt, would you stop and help them? And then she goes, well, I wouldn't touch them though, so I wouldn't get sued. And I was like, oh man, I was like, you're still spiritual. The point is you would care, but that reaction was a very fascinating reaction. But we have this internal feeling to help and to cooperate. And it's about collaboration. It's about presence. It's about true inner peace. And when you can do this stuff, which I can do some stuff, I can alter my state. I can go into very powerful states of mind. It just is more of a reminder to bring presence and kindness and compassion to my daily existence. So what all it does is give me more fuel, right? So it's like they say, get into the spiritual practice. It's not about that enlightenment they talk about all the time. It's not about this boom, enlightened experience and you pop into the clouds and you're not a human. No, it's doing the same thing and being human and being among it, but being able to hold a state of peace while you're in the crap. It's not about that candy. And I think culturally with this new age movement, self-help, we're so, into this candy, and there's no real mastery in that, and when you go to a master and they're a master, they're going to tell you that, and they're going to know that because they've been walking the path, and you'll see how they act. You see how they act in the community, you see their actions. And so that's what I'll give. So yes, believe it's possible. Yes, pursue it. And make sure the 3 acts of kindness, you want to light fire, you want to do something supernatural, 3 acts of kindness a day will get you there faster than any meditation or any other thing that you can imagine, because you're turning on the body, and the body is the technology.
There's in the Bible it calls it the fruit of the Spirit. Someone who is walking in the Spirit. Essentially, they have a spiritual lifestyle, a spiritual practice, communion with God, the saints, whatever, meditation, prayer, all of this stuff comes in and it produces a fruit in you, right? It's supposed to produce like to be more humble, to be more caring, to know that you're connected to the homeless man. Like this, the symbol on your shirt, right? That we're all connected, that we're connected to our enemies, or even those people who are making fun of us. They're another extension of ourselves. And so like going into those realms, for me, it produces a state of peace, and it a state of connectedness, right? That we're all, I'm another you, you are another me, essentially that. So the whole fruits of the Spirit, to be more humble, to be more loving, caring, compassionate, all of these things that's supposed to produce. And then you have people in these new age movements, or any type of spiritual movement really, that they come with all of this knowledge and all of the, I'm contacting the Pleiadians, I'm able to leave my body or whatever, I can set things on fire. But then you talk to them and they're like very prideful, very arrogant. They think they're better than you, that they can do it. Honestly, I think a lot of people are just making this stuff up. I know you talk to a lot of people and you get requests all the time, for people wanting to come on your show. A lot of people, and some of the bigger people, right? The people who have the nice graphic artwork online, and they have a huge budget to put behind their stuff. They go to these conferences that you're talking about, and these festivals and stuff, and like you can tell that like something's not adding up because that fruit is not there. They're talking about all of these out there intergalactic entities and beings and stuff, but they don't have compassion. You know what I'm saying? And you can, if you have a sense of discernment, you can tell in their voice, you can tell that they're making it up as they go. Have you dealt with anyone like that, whether it's personally that they came on your show and you're like, man, I shouldn't have gave this person a platform, or you won't let someone come on your show, or you wouldn't even ask them because like, man, this guy, he's a shill, he's got a lot of people fooled, and I'm not falling for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. For sure. And what I'll say is like, for them, anyone doing anything, it's real for them. They're in their own thing. Now, when we're talking about spiritual mastery and what's possible, if you don't have humility, if you don't have genuine, authentic humility and humbleness and authenticity and kindness, to me, you're not somebody that I value as a spiritual master. Right. And so, I'm going to take what you say about the 9th dimensional beings with a grain of salt, because you walk around kind of like an a-hole. You're very prideful. You know what I mean? That to me, those things don't sync up, and it's okay. It's not a judgment. It's just that's where they are. But the thing that kind of like creates feelings, different feelings, is that, a lot of people have an awakening experience, right? They realize, oh, there's more. And then they get into meditation or law of attraction or whatever. Yeah. And life is very different from where it was before. And it's kind of like not understanding martial arts exists. Okay. You're walking down the street and all of a sudden, whoa, martial arts exists. And you go in and you figure out that there's pads and there's punching bags and there's belts and there's all these different things. But most of the world is still asleep. They don't know martial arts even exists, or they don't even care to know. They're like, yeah, let's not even look there. So then someone else, you go to a festival, right? And people are walking around and like, whoa, martial arts exists. Cool. Let's go here. And that person goes and runs and they grab a black belt rather than the white belt that they should be, rather than that yellow belt. And they don't go through the process. Just like, if I started music tomorrow in any capacity, actually, which I have, you suck at first, so you kind of suck at spirituality at first, you know what I mean? Not in a way, but really the whole idea is just learning to navigate your own inner realm and create like spiritual mass through your action, through your own understanding, and then sharing that with humility. And so, I totally agree. And so just wear the belt that you're at. It's like, hey, even if you looked at like one, you did a little research on chakras or something, then you go to a festival and you want to share that. You do that with humility. Hey, I just studied chakras for like 2 weeks, but this is what I learned. And this is how I incorporated it from where my life experiences was to where we are now. And if we share our actual experiences, we connect our experiences openly. That's when everybody's learning. Matt, what was it like in Mount Everest? John, what was it like to work in insurance? Why is that any less valuable? There's probably a gold nugget that the whole group, it's like, man, overall it was a little bit challenging, but I did learn this one beautiful lesson about doing this job that I hated for 12 years. Right. And then like, whoa, thanks for sharing, man. Hey, I've learned, how to, meditate. And, with the spirituality type of thing, because I'm a martial artist, it's like when I see somebody and their body's not in shape, and they're just like talking about this stuff. And I'm like, bro, mind, body, spirit. This is, you want to play a mastery game with me? Yeah. You know what I mean? You're not going to tell me that because I'm communicating with fourth dimensional beings and you're up at 12 and I don't know what you're talking about. No, because when I'm talking to somebody, I don't feel like I'm better than them. I'm present. Yeah. I'm caring. Well, actually, I'm not pretending.
You have a standard too about, and that's why I was saying that I recently went through some challenges. A lot of friends kind of lashing out at me, but they don't have their stuff together. You know what I'm saying? Like they just on some weird spiritual Christian stuff, honestly, like you're too new age, this kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? And these people who did it, they don't have their stuff together, and I made this statement that I have a standard of people that I will let speak into my life. I'm not going to let the YouTube troll speak into my life and, hey, go back to your day job. You suck at this. I'm like, okay. You know what I'm saying? You have a standard. Like, who are you to speak into my life and for me to take you seriously? Like, do you have your stuff together, or are you just a YouTube troll? Do you only exist on YouTube? And even with the friends in your life, like if someone who knows you and they can speak into your life, they have to have their stuff together. Not that God or the spirit can't speak to you through anything, because that's honestly how it works. But when it comes to the practical levels of spirituality, if this stuff isn't practical and if it ain't just changing your day-to-day life, then I'm with you, bro. I don't want nothing to do with it. I don't want to get on here and discuss theories and stuff like that anymore. If it's nothing that we can go into those dream states or whatever and bring it out and manifest the person that we want to be. And I have a standard of what's going on in your life, whether you get to speak into my life and critique me and me listen, right? And I think what you're saying too with the body thing, here's like, somebody, it's almost like Steven Seagal, in the martial arts stuff and the jiu-jitsu and all that, going and claiming that he's this high-ranking black belt guy or whatever, and people call him BS on him, you know what I'm saying? Because he plays one on TV and he goes to all the events and stuff, and people are starting to call this guy out. Like, hold on, man, you're not who you say you are, dude. Like, just because you know some stuff, and it's like that too. And I don't want to offend anybody, but I had a hard time too with like going to churches and stuff back in the day, and the pastor and their whole family being obese, like these really big people, not just overweight, but I'm talking about being obese, where there's an addiction to food and there's no self-control, which is a fruit of the spirit. And they want to speak into your life and they want to be the spiritual people of the community. and they have no self-control when it comes to passing up a McDonald's or fast food or whatever the case is, right? And not to hurt anyone's feelings who's big, but like that weight that's there, I have friends who were that big. I have friends who were morbidly obese, who was 400 pounds. They got into training. They got into consistency. They lost that weight. The weight's gone. They're smaller than me. Somebody who was 400 pounds. Shout out to Drew Gower. I'll shout that brother out every chance I get. But, you know, there's a standard that comes with it. Like, okay, you're the spiritual mouthpiece for your community, but your life is a mess. You're sleeping around. You know what I'm saying? There's this standard, man, that I think is a healthy standard, right? Wouldn't you say that? If somebody comes to you claiming to have their truth, but have the truth, whether it's on aliens or Arcturians or even religion, but their life is in shambles in some of these key areas, man, it makes you a little bit leery when you just letting them speak their truth into your life. Yeah,
100%. And what it's kind of making me think about is the discernment, right? Again, who do you let into your ear? And that's what we talked on the podcast. I almost never forever, like my podcast is in religion and spirituality, but I'm so soft about how I speak about religion because I don't want to offend anybody. But on the flip side, I'm aware, I started to study why we had war at 15 because I was so curious. I didn't understand how we were murdering each other. It confused me. So I looked into it, and guess what? Religion plays a part of that. And we basically divide and conquer, right, through these different entities that have rights over our souls. So then you have somebody who takes that ideology and speaks into your ears and into your communities, and without this level of mastery. And it can be dangerous. It's very dangerous, and it can be used because it's a human. Yeah. If I even represented Zen, or if I represented spirituality, that's a huge, I don't even want to represent that. I want to represent me doing my best to be a human. Like Jesus or Buddha or Yogananda, I am not them. Those guys, look at it. Is their life joyous? Are they fulfilled? Are they kind? Are they authentic? Are they humble? Are they all those things? Do they have the characteristics that you value? Like you could say, okay, I want to get into shape, and you find a trainer and he's super, super in shape, but he's a total dickhead. It's like, okay, cool. I want to make a trainer. He's in shape, but he's also a really good guy. And he walks this little old lady across the street, and he's really humble. That's the guy, because that guy's going to have a really great philosophy on life, right? It's just fitness. It could be 2 CrossFit coaches. It could be 2 Christian pastors. It could be 2 Catholic ministers. Religion is very different between each individual city, each individual state, each individual interpretation, just like when I teach martial arts. So take the idea with a grain of salt, take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. But when you're looking at discernment, just like the guy, John Chang, if he can do it, come here, show me. Could be like David Blaine would convince me that he could do it. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, okay, David, how do I do this fire? Oh, it's actually a trick. Oh, shoot. Okay. So what do I do? He's like, oh, you just learn how to meditate. Oh, okay, cool. I can do that. Great. But if they have this like power over you and they're not giving you that information, is there use, right? I channel the 13th dimensional Great White Brotherhood of the Galactic Federation of all of the universe and multiple universes. Come to me and I will tell you about your spirituality, because you're not sovereign. You need me to do it. Yeah. And so that's where it pisses me off. Yeah. It's like, good, share it from your perspective. If you're getting that and it's coming down, share it. And like, and then get it out there, but you do it in a spirit of like, once you do it with a bit of vanity, and then you're lost. Yeah. And the discernment and the distortion of the information is going to be different, because it's like, Matt's doing it because I want to be cool and fulfilled and be in the man, rather than this is my experience. This is what I feel valued. This is how I feel like it can help you. In the same way, man, if you just think about a kid, teach like you're teaching a 4-year-old when you talk to adults. Actually give a shit, share the information, and then let them take with what they will. And you do that with that humility and this real, earnest, honest desire for them to grow, for them to be better. And skateboarding too, like, we want you to be better. And like, it pisses us off a little bit if you got really good so fast and you were so amazing. But you would really, though, you'd be so happy. You'd be like, oh my God, man, like, yes, it's so great. And if you can share in that spirit, whether it's multiple dimensions or how to do woodworking, which is probably more practical than most of the spiritual teachings I see going on out there. You've got people between 20 and 35. I'm 34.
I'm even seeing people even younger than that doing it, like teenagers and stuff. And it's good that they're into it, but they're like, even yesterday, I just had to like unfriend somebody. I don't even know this person. They just probably just randomly add them friend.
You have to deal with so much more stuff than I do. Like, it's so great.
And they're just like a guru or whatever, and they're an expert. And come to my classes, come to my courses, and I'm going to show you how to channel the third dimensional beings. And if you come to my class, and they're just live on YouTube, I'm like, who are these people? You know what I'm saying? Like, goodness. And they got like, they're just too spiritual, man. You know what I'm saying? There's a balance in this, man. Like you're talking about the yin and the yang. Like, I'm all for it. Like, I love exploration into this stuff. I want to know how the universe works. I got a good grasp on a lot of universal law, which is understanding the universe and all of this angelic realms and entities and, vibrational beings. They come into our day-to-day, right? I mean, I think I have a good grasp now. I don't really even study too much anymore. Someone said that, I get people send me all kind of stuff, and I don't really even care about that kind of stuff anymore. There was a part of me where just like I was itching for knowledge and itching for an experience or whatever. But now I'm at the point now, that seemingly probably where you are, we just want to share the information that we got. Like what we've already had, what we've already been privy to is enough to change anyone's life, that we just want to share it in practical ways for people to grasp it. Other than that, like the secrets of the universe and all of this kind of stuff is just for us, just to kind of blow our minds or wanting to know how it works. If we can't make it practical, then I really don't have much to. I really don't want to look into it. But I do think that I do learn, and my learning and studying goes further from having these conversations with different people who have something different to bring to the table. Even though I don't have time to sit there and knock out all these books and watch all these YouTube videos and documentaries and interviews and stuff anymore like I used to. Trust me, there was a time where that was all I consumed, listening to 12 hours of Coast to Coast a day while I drove and listening to all these podcasts and stuff. But sharing the experiences with people like you, and I think this is the true spiritual alchemy, because there's no strings attached and you're just simply sharing. And Jesus talks about like freely you receive, freely give. You know what I'm saying? And you're freely letting us know what's working. And I got a couple keys, but the keys are in this book. You know what I'm saying? If you get this book, you'll get the 7 keys to financial freedom, whatever, and do it in something that you have to market and sell, versus in a way to like, look, this is what's working for me. I'm sure these, like, obviously, like this, everybody's not going to be a skateboarder. Everybody's not going to really get into martial arts, but there's principles that you've learned there that apply through spirituality as well, that apply to everything that we're doing. And a lot of it should be common sense, but it's not, as you're talking about in these communities. This stuff is like mind-blowing, but it should be some of the common practices and stuff that people should be looking into, man. Before my daughter was born, me and my wife tried to start skateboarding. All of our teenage friends were skateboarding and stuff, so we was like, let's try it out, man, because I had a buddy of mine had a half pipe in his backyard. So we would try to skateboard with him, and I got to a point where I could drop in on the half pipe. I couldn't get momentum, man. Though. I could go in, and I couldn't pump, and I just go back and forth until I just eventually came to a stop. My wife tried to do it. She went to fall in, and she fell. She went and she just
happens
huge bruise on her leg. It's like, oh man. But yeah, but if we find out she got pregnant just soon after that, but if we would have stuck with it, I'm pretty sure eventually I would have learned how to keep pumping and do a lot more stuff than I was doing. But it was fun, man. So that's my experience with skateboarding.
Nice, man. Yeah, it's hard, it's challenging, but yeah, a little bit of practice, you'll get it. And a lot of the people, like I find honestly, some skateboarders and extreme sports athletes, they're spiritual masters. Some people who just do woodworking or or art, or they teach a music class, they're spiritual masters, because kind of what you're talking about for the consumption, people will send me stuff all the time, a video, an hour video. Have you seen this guy? Have you seen John Chang? Things like that. And like, I don't care anymore. You know what I mean? Him lighting things on fire is not me going in the mountains and being in nature and being totally stoked and having my own experience. Yeah. Now, when I come back to reality and I'm at my house and maybe I want to explore a little bit, things might come into my reality. But there comes a time, I spent years too down the rabbit hole, the countless books. And that's the whole thing.
It's foundational though, right?
It's foundational. It's a part of it. Like the kid, whoever he is, like maybe it's true. And that's what was for me. Like anybody saying anything, I did it. And then I did a session with them too. I always want the one-on-one. I always want to know how they feel. And after doing thousands of one-on-one sessions from everything from channeling to chakras, to energy work, to Reiki, to this guy's, I got one guy who's the touch guy. He touches you and you go in to see, I've had it all. Yeah. And like all the time, it's just like the same thing. And which is, I don't want to it's good. It's all good stuff, because if you haven't gotten into it, you need to get into it. You like healers, when you're sick and your mom puts her hand on your head, that's a real thing. Reiki and all this energy work is a real thing. Yeah. It's to make it a little bit more simple. Not, it's like, this is what it does. It's graspable. Yeah. I don't like it when they make it outside and it's like, we're going to activate your DNA and then you're going to float through a cloud on the way home. That's not the case. The case is we're going to do some energy work. We're going to be mutually supportive. I'm going to use, ancient techniques. You're probably going to feel good, but most it's for you to connect with your own power and ground this out. It's really grounded, right? So I like that grounded element to it. So that's just the key that I wanted. So explore what you're curious about, but the main thing is having your own experiences, right? So, me writing Zen Athlete, me going meditating with the monks, me training in China. Those are things that my body and my expression wanted to do and experience. And now I can share that experience, and you can have the same experience. You could have a different experience. What I want is for you to have your own experience. Yeah. And if I share value in what I had and what I brought back, it was terrible. I had a terrible time. It was the worst. Don't do it. I had a great time. This is what it was like. It was really challenging. If you want to make that choice too, and here are the nuggets that I brought back for me on my adventure. Go on your own adventure,
For your encounter, because someone else can do the same experience and do the same exact thing, and they have a beautiful encounter when you had a bad encounter, and you would advise people, stay away, I wouldn't do this, it's a waste of time, a waste of money. Somebody else goes on the same trip and they're like, man, he's lying, trust me, this is the way, you know what I'm saying? And that's also part of the beauty of it too, that we got to respect. I find it, I think it's really cool that you keep talking about woodworking, because I have this love for Jesus, right? And so he was a woodworker, he was a carpenter, and I've never seen any teachings or anything that linked his practice to his spirituality. I want to look into that, because he was a woodworker, he was a carpenter, getting good at something, determination, you just, well, that's how he was able to make money before he started his ministry or whatever the case is. So I'm going to look into that, because you keep bringing it up, just woodworking and the spirituality and spiritual principles of woodworking. I got a friend of mine who just came in town this weekend from out of town, from North Carolina, and he's a woodworker, and he's a really cool spiritual dude, and the way he made us some beautiful shelves, triangle shelves, and they're just perfect, and the excellence, and it was like we're talking about creating something that didn't exist, that the finish, everything about these simple shelves that he made are just beautiful, you know what I'm saying? And it was a spiritual thing for this guy. You can tell when he pulls it out, and there was a big crowd of people, and everybody's oohing and ahhing, and he's going into the minute details of how we get this, you know what I'm saying? And so those principles apply in everything to the woodworking, to the spirituality, and everything just kind of bleeds over, man.
Yeah, I think it's an amazing point. And this is something that David Lombear would kind of share with me. He goes, do you know your electrical engineers on the planet are doing more good than 90% of your spiritual teachers? I was like, how does that make any sense? He's like, because they're actually doing something. They're working with the energy of your planet. They're actually doing something. That woodworker is making something. You have a gift that reminds you of him. It's a physical reality, and he's going through his own mastery. So it's like, yes, like let's explore the realms of consciousness. Take, when I had recently at Costa Rica, really a profound enlightenment experience of like non-local mind, absolute mind-blowing, fifth dimensional, the whole thing. And one of the things I was able to do in that experience is take my consciousness and like launch like Superman in a way that I've never been able to do before. And it was really cool. But really the thing is, in these experiences, those are glimpses. Those are just little moments on the path that share with you you're on the right path. You know what I mean? But spirit communicates in very subtle ways. It's not overt. And you need to kind of pay attention and like, oh, that couldn't be. I was like, no, that's it. Like, just have a look and just start to pay attention, because if it is it, you're going to get another sign. And it starts a little bit foggy at first, and you kind of prick here and there, right? You're going through the field and it might be a little bit to the right, and then you got one a little bit to the left, but you're still going south, boom, 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 and then it just starts to line up more and more. They get a little bit more intense, they get a little bit more obvious, because you're training your mind to see and your body to know. And the body, and like my body is the thing that knows. And sure, I can make a mistake, sure, or a mistake. That I feel like there are no mistakes. I could go into an experience that I didn't think that I wanted, that I'm in that experience, and then I can take the perspective of being fully present and take what I can from it. And so, talking about like the physical, your music is now in physical reality. My podcast is in physical reality. This is value. I feel like my intention to create value through these things is now out there for you to tangibly hear in your ears. And the book is tangible, and it's an offering. It's not, hey, here's a book, look at me, send me a thing, I'm super cool. Hey, I did a lot of things, I learned some stuff, I think this might be valuable on your journey. If it is, great. I'm going to keep going and experiencing the magic of life, because it's so magical. I hope that you do that too. I encourage you to do that too. And the simplicity of stuff like woodworking and the physical craft and the art, there's so much wisdom and mastery there. And some of the most successful people that I've seen on this planet, so wealthy and talented and genius, and you see how they treat people, then you got somebody who's in a spiritual master quote or whatever, and they're this, and you see how they treat people or how they act or how they communicate. It's like, you're not even in the same league, bro. This is like the NFL, and you're not even in like you're in like toddler. And we want you to get to the NFL. That's the whole thing, So, right. So that mastery can come through anything. Look at any like concert pianist. I don't know. There's millions of paths home, and there's something to be said about the physical reality. So I'll kind of like leave it at that. It's simple. It's not meant to be confusing. I don't think it's meant to be confusing, and I think that it can get pretty diluted.
You find, and this was part of my awakening when I first came to this realization, that there's people who are involved in all religions and all spiritual paths, or whatever the case is, or lack thereof, who are people who have that same spark. They are truth seekers as well, right? They have something within them that is very similar to the innocence of seeking God or a spiritual path, right? And you're able to recognize that in all people. It's not the religion that's the answer, right? It's not the aliens or whatever that are the answers. But there's people who we're all at different levels, man. But there's something similar, and to be able to awaken and see that same search and that same humility, meekness within those people, we see each other. You know what I'm saying? We know that there's something that unites us, and it's not the religion, right? Our religions are at war, whatever the case is. I've met Muslims that were way more spiritual than me, but on the outskirts, like if you haven't studied that, you wouldn't think that would be possible for that. Like, I didn't know that there were spiritual Muslims, right? You know what I'm saying? Like early on, and there's people who are involved in everything. There's people who are in backwoods Christianity, like Southern Baptist Convention, who are some of the most humble, most meek, gentle people you would ever meet. But they're involved in something that, because it's not the answer. Like your religion, your practice, it's not the answer. It's like we was talking about the principles. It's about the life lessons, and that's when we can identify people. And I think those are like our brethren, or whatever the case is. Those who are like walking in love. They're in the midst of all this spread out. You know what I'm saying? It talks about the true followers of God being spread out across the four corners of the earth, man. And everybody's, some people are lost, man, and they're trying to find their way back home, and they're in Mormonism, they're in Judeo-Christianity, they're in Hinduism, or whatever the case is, or they're not spiritual at all. They're just or religious, but they just love people, man. And that love, I think, is what connects us. And and all the studying I've done in the scriptures and everything, it all comes back to love. God is love. He says all the laws, all the commandments, the rules, the regulations, the statutes, all of these things that people have studied and war over and all of this kind of stuff, it all comes down to love. And if we can walk in love towards the homeless man, give him a few dollars, buy him something to eat, walk in love towards everything, to your body. You know what I'm saying? This is the tenets of Jesus. Love your body. Well, I'll give you some things that you should and shouldn't put in it. It's in the Bible. It tells you don't eat this, don't eat that, don't eat that. Because if you love your body, you're going to take care of it. This is the temple. And that is the highest form of expression. And it's really easy. Like when you really break it down, it really gets easy. But people like to box it and morph it and say, no, this is how it is to be presented. And because you can sell that stuff. You can't really just sell and market love, you know what I'm saying, or just compassion towards everyone. That's where they kind of muddy the waters up in all of these religions or lack thereof, in the New Age circles or ufology or whatever we're into,
Yeah, you made a couple really good points, and I think that even with like the New Age, whether it's aliens or multiple dimensions or whatever, it could be all true. None of it could be true. Yeah. Christian could be the way. Maybe it's Muslim. Maybe it's Hinduism. Maybe it's Buddhism. I don't know. But what I think it comes down to is people's fear of death, and what they're fighting over is a philosophy of what happens when they die, because they're scared that a lot of the ideologies that are on the planet are around, well, if you don't pick this one, guess what the consequence is, son? You get to burn in hell for all of eternity. So you better
made
pick
the wrong
right.
choice.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And then so it's two things. It's connection to spirit, and it's a promise of an afterlife. Now, when you can do it through meditation, you can do it through woodworking. You can, there's they're great books called Jesus and the Essenes. Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
Really great stuff. I've read a book also called The Acquiring Gospel of Jesus the Christ, and it's kind of like missing books in the Bible, but just a normal way of Jesus going through life. Like imagine Jesus was here now, it'd be like kind of the same thing. Like, okay, get out, you're clearing the churches. It's not about shame and guilt and anger and death. What are you talking about? Like, what did I do? I went around saying, don't stone people, be nice to each other. Like, be nice. You're not being nice to anybody.
Yeah.
Shoot, I lost my train of thought. I don't know. Continue. It'll come back.
Yeah. I mean, that's just what it's about, man. Just, it's not the end all to have just a religion or just like a final belief system or whatever the case is. Like I said, people are scared to die. People are, overcoming their fears and dogmas and stuff, man. And they've, they're fighting, they're warring, they're holding on. But when it does come down to that, at the end of the day, man, like for God, and this is whether you're a Christian, I got a lot of Christians who watch this. I guess essentially, and maybe I'm a Christian mystic, I don't know. But as far as like trying to, God putting your eternal salvation in my hands, or in the hands of another mortal, fallible man, like you're contingent upon not burning in hell. Because like if you listen to their presentation, you're going to burn in hell by default. Like default is to burn in hell. You have to do something not to burn in hell. It just risky. Gets crazy, man.
It's risky. Yeah, it's risky, man.
Crazy.
I don't want that.
And
I remember
God's going to leave it up to me for you not to burn. Ain't that insane?
Yeah.
But he loves you.
But yeah, he loves you. I was like, I remember going to my friend's house at like, maybe 12 years old. And like, I just got back from church and I was like, Ian, you got to come to church with me. I want you to burn in hell, man. I love you.
Yeah.
I'm just, it's like, what, how do you see that thought in there? And people believe that,
Yeah.
and maybe, maybe that's a thing. And when you can reach a state, and this is where I was going with meditation or whatever, I've been to states in my own consciousness where I know that is not the case. And now you can know it for you, and it can be different, and that's fine. However, this has been very transcendent experiences. And it's just like, oh, cool. And then you're out of this spiritual muck, because what happens in anyone, it doesn't matter what it is. It could be, a corporate entity like wanting to take your life and have you do their bidding all day and not have you grow, keeping you. There's all these kinds of things. And I think that's a way in that spirituality works. But you can have these experiences. And so the two things, number one, burning in hell, they have control of your afterlife. This ideology takes control.
If you depart, you're going to hell.
Yeah, exactly. So it's terrifying. You know what I mean? Especially if all your friends are doing it. Oh my goodness. That's risky, man. That is risky biscuits. Two is this connection with God and spirit. And then they've messed that up too. And they don't teach you actually how to do it. And so in the Jesus and the Seeds, they said 4 ways to know God, and there's infinite paths home. One is through study all religions. Once you study all religions, then you realize it's the same thing. And then there's some baloney. It was in Nepal, and I was with Buddhist monks. They were beautiful, compassionate, wise, humble, caring, supportive masters. As far as what I've seen in spiritual masters, they were the best that I've seen so far.
Yeah.
Then I go to China. They apparently have Buddhism too, and it was not the same. China doesn't have Facebook. They don't have YouTube. They can't talk about politics. The religion was not the same. It was more, they took an idea and then they put this weight on you. You know what I mean? And definitely don't look out. Do not peek out the blinders, because if you do, that's death too. And then all your family's going to burn, and every other person's going to burn, and then their lineage. And then you basically just killed everybody on the planet through you having a peek at something else that I told you not to do. So it's insane. So study is one way. Finding a real master, a resident, proper master that is doing it, who's living it. You see the fulfillment. You can get the right teacher if you're seeking. Inner, you can take your consciousness and you can go in every single day. You keep doing that, you're going to get through the cobwebs, because you realize everything's outside of you. I'm outside of you. Your church is outside of you. It's all outside of you, but really it's actually in you. So go in and you sort through the cobwebs. And the fourth is nature. And you just go out into nature, and you want to read a bunch of spiritual books, go camping every weekend with no phone, no nothing. You just sit in nature. Now you're becoming a spiritual master. And so those are ways to know God. And there are other ways to know God as well. But when you get that real connection, somebody who has a real connection and not. And I had this guy on my podcast, Timothy Freak, who studied religions like intensely.
Yeah. He's awesome.
You had him on yours too?
Yeah, he's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. The man. And I met him at the Oregon Eclipse, we were going through this. I watched him do a beautiful talk. And then, this girl comes up and she's doing yoga. She's like, well, my master, blah, 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 blah. And he's just giving this thing. And he's just like, he just bring it back to practicality. And he's just like, well, if I can't give this philosophy to my 4-year-old daughter have it make sense to her, and it be used for her to have a beautiful, fulfilling life and have an understanding of reality and spirituality, then I didn't offer. And he's like, that's when I really got clear, and it became so grounded and so simple. So just wanted to share all that. Yeah, man.
People are in the chat. Someone says, Ruach says, hell is real. I was shown it in a dream. I would say hell is real as far as a state of being on the planet, man. I believe I've been there. You know what I'm saying? I've been to the bottom of the barrel. You know what I'm saying? I've been in a place of torment and a place of anguish. And when it talks about it, even in the Bible, this is the weird. Even we can even go into the Bible to like talk about what we're talking about hell and about this kind of thing. Because like in the scriptures, it's not in the Old Testament at all. Hell, the only time it's talked about is when King David is talking about deliver my soul from hell. He's like, all these people are trying to kill him. He's in a state of confusion. All of these things. And he literally said, look, my consciousness, my soul is in hell. Please deliver me. And this was the state of being. And yeah, hell is real when it comes to that, a place of torment, or what the Christians may call being away from God. You know what I'm saying? So, very similar. But as far as even it from a biblical standpoint, man, the more research that you can do, it doesn't show like this state of torment or lake of fire that you're going to burn for all eternity because you didn't say yes. If all you have to do is say yes, like the work's already done for you, then, right? Like, what the heck? You didn't say yes because you're lucky that you have a good representation in front of you versus Fred Phelps. Like, if he was sitting here, and we've all dealt with those people, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of people, that's their default when it comes to Christianity, is the fire and brimstone, the turn or burn, God hates fags, all of this kind of stuff, and they haven't really seen the compassion.
Is that a direct quote from God? Jesus, I hate fags. It's in the book. He said it. He just was going around it's like Jesus going around with a bunch of haterade to everybody,
Yeah. It's insane, man.
It's so absurd, man.
Because he's so, like, honestly, man, Jesus and his teachings are so beautiful, man. They're so life-changing and so beautiful. And then you look at, like, what they've turned it into, man, in Christianity and in the West on many levels. Whether, I know the Fred Phelps and the Westboro Baptist people, that's the extreme on that level, but there's extremes on other levels as well when it comes to taking the words out of context versus, like, what you're talking about, you've met these beautiful monks who are like the most spiritual, well-rounded people you've ever met. Like, that's how I see Jesus, right? I see him meditating in the mountains and in caves and on top of mountains, right? And all of these things that they're doing, like, that was what he did. So if we want to be like Jesus, let's do that. Let's go into the caves. Let's go out into nature and get away and fast and have this inward reflection. Like you were talking about, everything else is outside of you. Christianity or whether it's your religion or whatever is outside of you. The kingdom of heaven is within you. God is within. And that takes all the power away from all the priests and from all the people who say they have it figured out and you need to come to them to talk to God and all of this stuff. He says, look, you can come directly to me by going within. The kingdom is within you. You don't need anything that anyone is selling you. That's your power. And whatever religion you're with, if they're not teaching you that, I say run from it. If they're teaching you that God is a form that's outside of yourself, I believe he is. I believe he or it is within and without. But the work to connect is going within, and everyone can do that. And that's where the true power is. The true liberation, the true spiritual freedom is that you don't need anything that they're selling you. You can use this stuff. There's so many stuff, exoteric stuff out there that help. And there's stuff that even what we're talking about today is like, there's stuff on outside of you that helps you go within. That's the beautiful stuff. The teachings, all of the trance state, whether it's ayahuasca trips or whatever, that stuff's outside of you, but it helps you go within. And there's breathing and chanting and all types of things that you can do that help you assist you with going within to experiencing God in the universe within.
Yeah, man. Well, you made a really important point there. Just think about it. Back in the day, if you go and you look at the Bible, what did he do? He went into these churches and these spaces and he cleared them. I guarantee if he came back now, he'd be clearing the Westboro Baptist Church, all of those things, because you look at it and be like, okay, if I love Jesus, I respect Jesus, I believe his teachings. He said, use him as an example. Where in that book is he not loving and compassionate?
Yeah.
When they're stoning the girl, when they're doing that, where in that book is he not loving and compassionate? Where in that book did he say, grab a sign and go hate everybody and tell them they're going to hell? I haven't read that part, and so he would clear all this stuff and we've got lost. It just be the example. Like, look at what he did as the example and do your best. Like, what would he do? Like, even if it was some, and then they tried to kill him. They're trying to kill him, right? And that's
for
just
doing
like
the
today,
right thing.
Right? That's the haterade. If you're thinking about this and you're getting upset, you're the one with the spear and haterade, and you would be the one throwing it at Jesus. Mm-hmm. And he'd be like, whoa, 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 whoa! It's about peace. Easy, easy. God is in all of us. It's not in this guy with the robe that's telling you. It's not in your church where this guy is telling you now you get a free pass because Pastor Doug has told me that I've got this coupon, and when I die, I'm going to take this coupon, I'm going to give it to an angel, and then I'm going to no, that's not it. It's in you, and it's how you live your life. And that's what he was saying. It's in you. You all have God within you. You have spiritual sovereignty. You can make your own choices. You can make your own life. I am always with you. I am in all things. And you have different cultures, different spaces that experience different things. What are you going to say, studying with my, the native elder, I would love to see it. And he's just so compassionate. He's like, look, you don't have to believe the same thing. What I'm sharing in these teachings, and these are ancient teachings, he's like, you don't even need to believe the same thing. Just be kind. Have a totally different belief. If we're all getting on the ark, right, and you got a Buddhist and a Christian and a Muslim, whatever, it's like, look, you only have to believe the same thing. Believe whatever you want. Just be kind. Just don't stab the person to your left. Don't stab the person to your right. Don't set that person on fire, please. Don't throw rocks at anybody. We're all going to just go to this new island that's a little bit better together, and we're going to cooperate. And, if you can't even get that from your religious teachings, your mind is distorted, and they call that Maya. They call that illusion. And you do it through fear. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of death. I'm not afraid of I know it's going to be beautiful, but you look at the signature of my life and what I've done and what I'm doing and what I'm trying to do. Then you're like, oh, look, like he was like generally, he traveled a lot. That seemed cool. He talked about peace. He did his best. He liked martial arts. You create an example, like Bruce Lee created an example. So be that example. Jesus left one heck of an example. Like that's the example. Be the example. Take from that master. If it was an artist, you can take from that example. How did they do it? And that's the thing. And these are old teachings in new times, but it's like the same thing. So if you have hate in your heart and you're putting that out there, you're missing the point. You're distorted. That's not the truth. Where in that book does it say that? If you're spending all your time, he didn't say go out, grab a sign and hate on people. He said, go into your community and be kind to them and take care of them and take care of accept your brothers and sisters, forgive their faults,
Yeah, Jesus said, be the change you want to see in the world.
Yeah,
I'm joking.
So do that. If you love the book, do that thing then great. Believe whatever you want. Believe that, gay people are going to hell. Go ahead and believe that. But then be nice to them because that's what he'd do. He would do that. And if you believe both, then go do the thing he'd do. And then you're being an actual proper disciple, follower of Jesus, in that spirit. There's nowhere in that. If you meet him in person, he's like, hey, Jesus, I hated on all these people for you. And I smited gay people and I killed those 4 people in your name. Like, are you stoked? He's going to be like, what? Did you read where? No, bad. Why'd you do that?
Yeah.
I still forgive you and I love you, but that was a crazy choice to make. How did you get that from what I did?
Yeah.
That's madness. What happened? So I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, man. We do have a question here. Someone, Ray wants to know, he says, I have a question for Matt Belair. What are some downloads that you had that changed the way you see the world? I'm guessing like in meditation and just these realizations. They call it downloads. Yeah,
it's a good question. Thanks for asking. For me, again, like the difference, I get asked this a lot on the podcast. It's been continuing. Whatever this is, this idea for me, I was born like this. And when I say born like that, I've been trying to decipher it because I have a lot of people on the podcast. A lot of people have an awakening experience, right? I never had one of those. It was just kind of, it was more confirmation. And what's this? And I'm trying to figure out, I was like, what's the difference? I was like, the main difference is my mind was never programmed to be like, what can I get? What can I go out from the world and go get? And how do I acquire every single thing? And then I get these houses and this thing. It was like, how do I help? That was my natural setting. How do I help people? And I would remember crying as a kid. I would cry when I would see these things on TV of people like in Ethiopia, right? And they're like, give a few bucks a day. And these people are starving. And I just asked my parents, like, what is going on? Like, why are these people starving to death? And I would cry and I'd be like, this is crazy. I'd look at war and I just have this, and then I just want to help. And so, I've had, it's just been confirmations. But the confirmation really is that it's come down to simple things. You are the creator. Take 100% responsibility for everything that happens to you. There is a higher force, energy, God, spirit, whatever you want to do. And that's in you. And you can learn how to connect with that. But you connect with it through your own process, your own way. But you got to be able to still the mind, and to then serve. And, serve your community. And that doesn't mean be a martyr. That means be the best you can be. Be the best blacksmith. Be the best woodmaker. Be the best artist. Be the best father. Be the best person that you believe you can be and share with other people, contribute to your community. And that for me is like the fundamental of any spiritual teachings. And all I get is like, it's like, okay, downloads, like, sure, we're all, the ones like, oh, you're all one, but then it'll take me to an experience where I'm literally one with everything in a direct experience. And that's the download. I'm like, holy crap. Right. But your mind, it's so beyond the mind. It's like a duck becoming a human's consciousness, or like a 2D drawing to a 3D drawing. It's a whole nother dimension, and you can't bring language into that. And I've had those. It's like, boom, it's like, you are one with everything. Holy crap.
And then you experience it, and then you go out and be the manifestation of that experience. Yeah.
Then guess what I do? I walk down the street. I meet people. I am confused. I figure out what I'm going to build in my life. I start to connect with myself. I have conversations with humans. I drive down the road. I get stuck in traffic. I listen to music. I do all these things, but I'm interacting with people. And when somebody asked me once in a podcast, like, how do you want to be remembered? And I thought about it for a second. I was like, just kind. I just want to be remembered as kind. Because, if I could do that, that would be amazing. And so you do have direct experiences. And I've had many. I've been able to lucid dream, but it takes me, a lot of effort. I don't even worry about that anymore. I used to, I was like, got a lucid dream, and then I'd be able to lucid dream for a while, experience these states. But then it becomes old, because it's like, it's how you live your life each night. It's the day. Each day is the magic. We're missing that over going to find the Arcturians, going to find the aliens, connecting with God. It's like, wake up full of life, super stoked. What am I building? Why am I excited? Who am I? Journal some stuff, and then all of a sudden someone's going to throw some haterade at you, and you're going to get stuck in traffic and just be like, oh, sorry, Bill, didn't mean to offend you. Like, how are you today? Cool. And just connect with yourself. So I don't know if I answered the question. I just rambled.
Yeah, no. It's cool I think you did. Getting the downloads. Another question. Christy wants to know, are you the only person in your family that has this mindset?
My sister kind of does. My sister, we have these deep conversations, but and even when I grew up, I didn't realize that I was strange. I thought everybody thought like me. And all my friends, I really have beautiful, incredible friends that I grew up with, and I love them so much. They're such incredible people. But it was around university, I realized I was thinking a little bit different. It's like, oh, like I'm different. Huh. That's weird. And I didn't know that. I thought we were all going to go explore the world together and this and that. And so it's just like this pursuit, and I don't even think my way is the right way. It's just what resonated with me. If your way is to resonate and find beauty and love within a family, and, getting support, and, you can find spiritual mastery anywhere, but you got to be honest with yourself how you feel, in that process, and that's the one thing, like, I don't compromise my feeling and my knowing. It's like, Matt, you got to go here, and you move, and then spirit moves. And I've seen spirit in my life move in these magical ways, because I'm just like, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I know I got to go here and do this. And I do it. And then I experience these things in my reality. That's like, that was spirit. There's no other way that wasn't a higher force. I'm like, yes, heck yes. Super cool. So my sister is pretty spiritual. My mom is the most kind, compassionate, loving human I have ever met in my entire life. So I'm half of her and half of my dad, who's French Canadian, and he's very to the point. He's very abrupt. He's very just like matter of fact. So when somebody's like kind of acting nonsense, right, in any sense, like if you're like, you're going to burn in hell for all of eternity, my dad kicks in, is just like, oh, am I now? You know what I mean? Yeah. And then my mom comes in, is just like, be compassionate to that person. You know what I mean? Even though they have a different understanding, and mine may or may not be right. It's just where I'm at this point in time. And I'm going to honor myself over honoring something outside of me, telling me my own destiny in the other realms. And I'm going to do the work so I know for me who I am, what I'm about, how I connect with spirit in my own way, and be the friggin' example. I don't spend my day going on hating on, the Baptist church or things like that. I go down to the Westboro Baptist church. You guys are wrong. You guys are wrong. You're going to burn in hell. I'm like, hey, I'm going to build a podcast where I support people and help people and try to be a cool guy and walk a little granny across the street. And if I see a homeless guy, get his name, shake his hand. I'll do that instead. Yep. Do that.
Yep. Do what's simple, working. Man. Like not focusing on what's wrong or what you disagree with. You just simply teach what you do and just be a living example of the things you believe in and the things that work. it gets clickbait to be able to bash people and down people. Those videos get hundreds of thousands of views sometimes, and the Illuminati this and the bad guys this and the watch out, they're coming here, these demons are coming for all this kind of stuff. That stuff is like the fear porn, you know what I'm saying? That kind of stuff. We can easily get into it. I've purposely stayed away from it because I kind of used to do it years ago, and that's why I stay away from it. But you get much more accomplished with just simply sharing and stating what you're for rather than like rallying behind what you're against. Like that doesn't. I used to do it though, so I guess I had to learn
you can
that.
Go. Yeah, you could. There's a couple. You could go and you could tear down your neighbor's barn because your neighbor's a Muslim, and you tear it down. But then you're not building your own barn where you can have your own space and support your own family and friends and community. And there's a Buckminster Fuller quote that says, "You don't change the system by fighting the old. You change it by building the new." And I'm creating just my life. I can't go to Egypt, and I can't go to Egypt and explore ancient civilizations and do all these stuff and spend all my time worried about what TruthSeekah is doing. And did he say that? Hold on, let me just write him a note. Hey, jackass, this isn't the right thing. You don't even know what you're talking about. Let me just put this here, and you got all this energy and world. Like, what a waste of energy. Like somebody's like, I was like, why don't you just take that and like build something you want to build? Like, I appreciate you. I'll have a peek at what you just said about me real quick. Nope, that's nonsense. Yeah. Okay. Now take that energy, build something cool for yourself, man.
If they really feel like they're doing something good, like they maybe think that they're like if they think TruthSeekah is in the wrong or you're in the wrong, and they send a comment or do some destructive work that get you to question yourself or stop what you're doing, then they essentially have been the David that slays the Goliath because you let this one random stranger get into your head and in your podcast. And people do it, man. You know what I'm saying? People.
Yeah, and let's talk about that person. Sure. So you're spending your time. I'm just talking directly to you. If this is you, go volunteer. Go teach a kid a skill that Go volunteer in your youth community. Spend time with actual humans that you care about doing something valuable. That's valuable, man. That's actually valuable.
Yeah.
Tearing someone down is not. Jesus didn't go do that. If it was directly in his thing and it was like some nonsense, but he had a high level of discernment.
People are crazy though, man.
He had a high level of discernment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He was a master. So, you're an apprentice. So go take action on supporting people. Jesus was supportive. Go, volunteer in your community, feed the homeless, teach. I taught boxing to youth for a few years in Whistler. Just do something, do an art class, share something with a kid, do something actual in physical reality that is helpful. Build your community, build it through love. Jesus was about love. Are you about love or are you about hate? What do you feel in your heart? Do you feel hate? You probably feel that way because you're confused. And I use this, analogy all the time. I'm a martial artist, and before it was a lot easier for me. Now it might be a little bit riskier, but I could probably beat the crap out of most people because I've been training martial arts my whole life. But people think that they haven't trained, so they can beat you up. But now UFC has changed the game, so maybe there's a little bit more skilled people out there than they're using. I had an easier time before. But if I did fight, but I've never fought in public because somebody comes up to me and they're like, "Hey, Matt, you're a bearded idiot. I hate your podcast. You don't know what you're talking about. You're going to burn in hell. Oh my goodness. And I'm going to kick your ass right now." I'm like, "No, wait, no." And then I have to beat them up because my way is right. And I know about spirituality and, my thing is the thing. And you don't know me. I'm going to
disproved
everything. So we're going to duke it out. And here we go. Blah, blah, blah. Right. The next week he comes in and he does it, but now I'm just raged, but I don't do it. But then he says another thing about my mother and then I do it. Then the week after that, I don't do it. I feel the rage and then I get away with it. The next week after that, I'm raging and then a little bit less, a little bit less, a little bit less. And then it ultimately gets to the point where somebody comes in, does the exact same scenario and they go off. It's about my friends, my family, my podcast, my face, my work, my book, who I am, my philosophy, just a whole thing. And I'm just taking it and I'm looking there and I just think, how can I help you? Is there anything I can do for you? Can I get you a drink? Is there anything else you'd like to share? From a deep, there's no rage in the body. It's literally compassion. And like, you might be right, but I don't feel it in me that it is right for me. I'm going to go and I'm going to help. Somebody just got hit by a car out there. Why don't we go hand in hand and we can believe something totally different, but let's go as a brother and help this person and allow us to have different beliefs. Is that okay with you? This person needs help. And the truth is, this planet does need help. This planet does need healers. This planet needs more compassion. It needs more kindness. It doesn't need more hate. It doesn't need people, telling your daughter to kill himself. It doesn't need you telling people to go kill themselves. That's not useful, man. And ultimately, they're trapped in their reality. And I'll tell you something. My reality is joyful. It's peaceful. It's kind. It's compassionate. It's magical. It's beautiful. I have connection with spirit. I'm so grateful. I believe in pretty much the root teachings of Christianity. Like when you get to it, I believe in Jesus. I believe in Buddha.
If you ever get to it, yeah.
Ascended masters. I believe in that stuff, but it's in me and I'm experiencing joy. Now, I experience doubt. I experience pain. I experience anger. I experience shame. I experience guilt, but they're not my dominating forces. They're a part of the experience. And if I go about my life and I can be supportive to others and I can be remembered, I met that guy. You have a review when you die. Imagine sitting with Jesus when you die. And he's like, great, you're here. Yep, you got heaven and hell. Here we go. We're going to look at everybody you have ever met and what you did. Remember, my book is about love and compassion and kindness. Let's see what you did. Oh, you were a dickhead here. You were a dickhead here. You're talking crap there. You set that guy on fire. You murdered that guy. So this was the book. Do you want to read it together? This is what I did. And you're following me in my name and doing all this stuff. I'm just a bit confused on how you link those two together. And you want to come in the side where everyone's being peaceful and loving in heaven, where everything's cool and peaceful, because there's going to be people maybe you don't agree with. And I do believe that here is heaven and hell. Just imagine somebody in the U.S. military that got abused as a kid and abuses other people and is in this world and it's in their mind. That person needs healing, man.
Yep.
And they're only going to be able to heal themselves. And you do that through compassion and understanding and listening, not through anything else. So people deal with a lot of stuff. It's I'm part of this International Tribunal for Natural Justice that just got launched, looking at human trafficking, the sex trade, and ritual satanic sacrifice, which exists. It exists. It's insane. And they're doing something to bring these stories out. And guess what? Some of that's linked to the churches. Some of that's linked to the government. And they can find it. It's not, Now, it doesn't mean all of them are bad, but it means there are segments that really can distort, So you, as the individual, be the best example of what you believe. And ideally, that's peace and love and compassion. Because if you're the best example of hate, that could be pretty destructive. So I don't know. Don't be
wise
nice.
words, ladies and gentlemen. Matt Belair, man. Belair, thank you for coming on the podcast with me. Thank you for hanging out again. Let everybody know where they can check out your stuff, man. Talk about these meditations and things that they can download. Go ahead and plug your links.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate you having me on the show. It was good. Beautiful discussion. I appreciate what you do. And like I said, I have a lot of respect for what you deal with in the environment you're in. I'm too soft for it, man. I would have gave up instantly. I'm Canadian. I'm tucked away in the woods. I'm in an igloo. It's all fine over here. So I have a respect for you to go through your process and share it openly. And if we can do that as individuals, just share it openly, not saying it's the way, it's just what I'm experiencing right now. And I'm offering you the information open. I can do that and take what you will. So I'll just share that. You can check out my stuff at mattbelair.com. There's a podcast. I got 150 episodes with similar guests than you, all about consciousness, spirituality, kindness, personal development. You can check out Zen Athlete book. It's Zen Athlete, but you can go Zen Life. You take that book and you put those principles to work in anything. It's the best that I've learned in sports psychology, peak performance, altered states, designing your life, law of attraction, hypnosis. It's all in there. It's very practical. You figure out what you want. This is how you go get it, whether it's a double backflip that's never been done or whatever the case is, or you want to build a beautiful, successful life, you can use those principles. And then the heart journey. If you look up the heart journey meditation, highly recommend people try that. I've done it with a bunch of people one-on-one, and 18 have cried. Of the 22, 18 have cried, one popped out of their body and one pissed himself from a healing. And it's literally just a guided meditation into your heart. One did what? Piss himself from a healing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. They said it felt like something came out. I was like, whoa. And it's not me. It's I think it's the process. You know what I mean? I was like, He's like, when you said that, it came through, I was like, that is intense, man. Okay. So apparently that happened, but all it does is it connects you with your heart. It's train of thought. You got to think it, can I live a successful, peaceful life? Can I, if you can't get to that belief, you're in trouble. So when you take your consciousness and you plug it into your heart and you say, heart activation, connection with the whole entire universe, what is the most fulfilling, abundant, beautiful life that I can live? And you shut off the conscious mind, then you're going to get a different set of answers. So that's the Heart Journey on SoundCloud. And anybody can hit me up at Matt@ZenAthlete if they want. .com and reach out to me personally, and I'm happy to get back to you and guide you. But just want to thank you for being on the show, and just thank everybody out there. Go do, test 3 acts of kindness for a week, or go do your actual physical actions. Pay it forward. You can get someone's name, that counts. Pick up a piece of trash, but that's what Spirit's looking at. So actually be the example through physical action. And if you do that for a week, just experiment. And it doesn't matter what you believe, just 3 acts of kindness a day for a week, see what happens, or 1 act for 28 days. And then it becomes your fundamental operating system, and watch how you can communicate with Spirit after that, because Spirit is looking for action, not thought, not setting things on fire. It's like, okay, I'm in my room. I set the house on fire. Yeah, there's like 8 homeless people over here that are starving that you could literally just go down and say hi, get their name. Maybe nobody talks to them or sees them, and you give them a sandwich. Or maybe you're in line and you just say, hey, what's your name, Tim? Hey, Tim, nice to meet you. And now we're connecting as a community regardless of our beliefs. So I'll probably rant forever, but I'll just leave people with that.
I believe it. Appreciate it, man. You guys make sure y'all go check out his podcast, check out his work as well. There's an interview where he interviewed me. I think it was last week or the week before. Really good interview. So y'all make sure y'all go check that one out as well. Matt, thanks for coming on, bro. We'll do it again soon, brother.
Amazing, man. Thanks for having me.
All right.
See
Peace and
everybody.
blessings, bro. Shalom, peace. Matt Belair, ladies and gentlemen. Really cool guy. Really cool guy. There's some people talking about in the chat. I'm over here in the chat. People want to know if Matt has accepted Jesus Christ as his Lord and Savior. And then Danny says, God is love. I can see Christ in him, even if he hasn't accepted him as Lord. I will interject that is him accepting Jesus as Lord. That if he has made love, compassion, all of the stuff he's talking about, that's what Jesus is. Like, that's the fruit of that's proof. It says they will know that you are my disciples by your love. And all of these people out here screaming the name of Jesus, and all of these weird traditions and belief systems and stuff, and they all claim Jesus, but they're not walking in love. They're not walking in the fruits of the Spirit. And we have someone like Matt who is. That's Jesus to me. They had me on the show some years ago with Kelly and the Raw, and they asked me a question. They said, and they thought it was a trick question, but they were talking about somebody reaching out to them and telling them that Jesus was the only way, and she wanted me to denounce it or something. She was like, TruthSeekah, what would you say about my cousin who's a Baptist who says Jesus is the only way? And it was, a New Age show or whatever. And I said, yeah, I would say they're right. Jesus is the only way. He just kind of looked at me crazy. Just because Jesus is love. God is love, and love is the only answer. And like we just said a while ago, if you break down all the scriptures, man, all the law and all the prophets, all of it, Jesus said it all hangs upon love. To love the Lord your God with all your heart, your mind, your strength, and to love your neighbor as yourself. All of it is about love. Taking care of your body, taking care of your neighbor, taking care of your family, your friends. It's all about love. And that's the Spirit of Christ. And that's how you know that someone is a disciple. It's because of their love. And that's what it's about. Your compassion for others, your compassion for God. That's what, at the end of the day, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter about the doctrinal things, about being right about this or being right about that, or having a form of godliness. But love is powerful, man. Love is the driving force behind faith. Faith without works is dead. And that the works is the love, is the compassion that pushes you out into the world to go out there and to want to be Christ-like. And all the studying and stuff like that, all of it's beautiful. Like we talk about these spiritual encounters. I love all of it. But if it doesn't turn into something practical, the same thing he's saying that we've been saying this in the church for years, man. We've been saying this in the church for years. It's time to close the Bible and just go out there and just be Jesus to everyone. Quit debating about what Jesus said. Simply go out there and do what he did, and you'll change the world. Everybody wants to debate about what he meant, all of this kind of stuff. Just go out there and simply do what Jesus did. You'll turn the world upside down. Show love to those who don't deserve it. Show compassion to those who don't deserve it. To those who have never experienced it before, you'll change their life. I remember when I came to Christ, it was at a prayer meeting, a Bible study, and someone says, do you want Jesus to forgive you of your sins? My answer is yes. Like, yeah, I don't want to not be forgiven of my sins. He just told me the gospel, what Jesus had already done for me. He had already done this. You know what I'm saying? And that you know what I'm saying, that love, and when I felt that for the first time, it changed my life. And that's for everybody. That's not just for me. It's not just for you guys or whoever. It's for everyone, man. And you're supposed to be, if you're a follower of Christ, you're supposed to be walking with that love and that compassion, sharing it freely with people. Freely receive, freely give. Look, I want to thank everybody for supporting my work and what I'm doing. My throat's a little bit sore. I'm a little bit hoarse. I don't know if you can tell or not, because my buddy Joshua Davis, he brought us a grab bag, and I really needed this the day of my concert, but he gave it to us yesterday. Singer and speaker throat spray, really cool stuff that he brought in. It's got a bunch of essential oils in it, frankincense, and some really cool stuff, and it helps helps a lot. But yeah, it was so funny. If y'all want to see the video, there's some footage of me performing at the concert. It's on my Facebook. I may try to put it on YouTube, I'm not sure, but there's some footage out there. It's not the best footage because it was so dark in there, so pretty much looked like a silhouette. We had a really good time though. Oh, giving shouts out to everybody who drove. Like, people drove from all over the country to come in. Another shout out to somebody I know, Betty Watkins, a friend of mine, supporter. She drove 5 hours to be there, drove by herself. Betty Watkins. So shout out to her too for driving in so far to come see me perform and spend that special occasion with me. It was phenomenal. So beautiful. So yeah, with that being said, I'm gonna say peace and shalom. Thank you guys for supporting my work. If you want to join, Thursday night School of the Mystics is what we're doing. That's where it's at. You can get access to that by becoming a patron. Head on over to patreon.com/TruthSeekah. Sign up for any level of giving, even for $1. You get access to that, just to show that you support and believe in the work, and you get access to all the cool features and alerts and emails and stuff like that too. So make sure y'all do that. It means the world to me, and you get access to so much stuff. My full discography, the new album is out. You get access to that too, so check that out. Thank you everybody for the kind words, hanging out with us in the chat. Shout out to Ruach, Christy, Danny, Ray, Evolution, Jesse, and some of the other ones who commented a little bit earlier. I'm seeing some of the names here, holding it down live with me. So with that, I'm going to say peace and shalom. I love you guys, and we'll do it again soon. Peace.
Your will so much higher than mine, so much higher than mine. Your will so much deeper than mine, so much deeper than mine.
Well, that does it for this episode, folks. To hear more episodes of the TruthSeekah podcast, head over to TruthSeekah.com. And if you're wanting to support the show and get rewards, go to our Patreon page at patreon.com/TruthSeekah.